Hey, how are you doing? Welcome to the CJ Scott. I am CJ Atemo, your host, and so delighted that you have taken the time, and for some of you, the bundles as well, to tune in. Have you subscribed to our YouTube channel, CJ Atemo? Kindly do so if you haven't, and please help us by just sharing this stream even right now. Invite your friends, tag some colleagues, anybody that you want to be part of this conversation. And I would like to ask you as well to engage with us on the matters that we're going to be sharing right here. You know that we always put up the jury, but then the verdict remains with you. And today I've got an all-female jury. People have been talking about stuff like, the future or the present is female. and we'll talk about that one of these days because we need to know the implication of that on the male seed. But I've got an all-female jury today, and I've got to the farthest left Ruth Bolo, who is nearly resident. She's nearly resident over here. It's good to have you, Ruth.
Thank you so much. I am always glad to be home.
Yeah, and then we've got Patricia Obiero. Patricia, how are you doing?
Very well, thank you.
Been a while.
Yes.
Since you were here.
Yes.
And offset, I was telling you, I can no longer cope with the things that you're doing. You're just bringing out so many other things.
And I said I blame my coach and mentor for it.
But you still run Patricia Speaks.
Yes, I do.
All right. Then I've got this lovely friend of mine. We've been together on several shows. The publicist herself,
Yes.
Nonsizi.
How are you?
Very good.
Good to be here.
It's a bright, bright, bright day.
Yes. Bring the sun, literally.
All right. Today we're talking about black tax. We're talking about black tax. I know that's very close to Nonsizi. We're talking about black tax. And let me just get what somebody said, that according to the Fast Company, they said this is the money that professionals of color have to give to their families every month. This is the money that, I know it goes beyond the professionals, but generally is the money that generally black people have to give to their families for support. And they call that a black tax. Is it a tax?
Well, it depends on how you look at it. If it's an obligation and you feel like you have to do it,
Right.
Don't do it.
Okay.
If it's going to be you feel like it's an obligation, I have to. You see, a tax, like when the government is taxing us, you don't want to do it, but anyway, you have to because there will be implications. But I feel like it should not be an obligation.
Right.
And of course, we're going to get deeper into why, but it should be willing. You're willing to not leave others behind. And when Cara called me about this, the first person I went checking on is Joy Doreen Bera, because she had talked about this in depth, and she was saying, let's not look at it like an obligation. Let's not look at it like we are not leaving people behind.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's not leave others behind.
All right. What would be your thoughts, Patricia?
It can be tax. I can use the word tax, and then at the same time I can also say that I don't look at it from the point of view of it has to be like tax. It's a must. I think the word a must is what makes the difference when it is money that you must give. Because I strongly believe that it can also come from a point of love. When you go back to our culture, which is a culture of unity, you realize that when you are growing up, there's something called the collective responsibility. So once my mother gives birth to me, when my mother is not around, either my auntie takes care of me or my elder sister or the neighbor takes care of me. So we are used to this. We have a way of always giving. But now when the word must is put to it, that is what makes a difference. Because I do not want to do anything that I must do. Yes, I want to have the power to be able to decide, do I want to do this or not?
When you talk about, the whole community, your neighbor takes care of you. Interesting, I woke up this morning and I was thinking about, I grew up in the days where you leave the key with the neighbor.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, that's
Not
true.
anymore.
I mean, those trust levels are just so high. You leave the key with the neighbor, and so when a sibling or a parent will come in, they just know, I'll go to this house or with a shopkeeper and get the key and then go in. That communal aspect, Ruth, you want to say something? You're not agreeing with it.
It's not that I'm not agreeing. I choose to look at it differently. And I won't say black people. I will say young people. Because all of us here in this country are fairly black. But not because of our skin color, but how we think and do our things. Yeah. And it is not about for me, it's not like it's a must, because with time, it has become one of those unspoken rules, unspoken responsibilities. For me, it is, and it's not about communal or giving back. It is, can you manage? Because how many young people, you do for them fundraisers, they go to school, you expect that once they come to the big city, then they will get a job and they will begin to send you money. We have people who are still in university and are expected to send money, but they can't. Not because it is a must.
Help.
Yeah, so, yeah.
You're literally loaning people your loan.
So it is not that they are not doing it because it is a must. It is they can't do it. And sometimes it takes a toll on them that it begins to affect their mental state. Sometimes it begins to affect how they operate. It begins to affect their academics. It begins to affect, how they socialize with people. Because I am thinking, if I go and meet CJ, for example, am I going to get 1,000 bob out of it? If not, I'm not going to see him, because I need to send this much home. So for me, it is not about it being a must that is why they don't send. It is, let's ask ourselves, by the time I am asking Nonsizi to send me this money, is she in a position to send it? That is number one. Yeah. Number two, we need to realize that previously in your days, people you would
did you just say that?
People would farm. It would be okay for, my parents and my grandparents to have their farm, and, so they have some food at least to put on their table, even if they can't afford the luxuries. And for me, I would be able to, have even my kitchen garden, and I would be able to also go back home and really help farm also. I would be able to help. But nowadays, 70-year-olds are not going back home. I mean, why? I want to still stay in the city.
I want to support you.
And before you do, so you have your grandmother or grandfather who is still in Nairobi and needs support. Yeah. And in Nairobi, there's no place where they're going to farm 2 acres of maize. So that cost is there. Yeah. So incomes, generally, what I'm saying is that our sources of income have now become quite few compared to before. So these are aspects that we need to think about even by the time we are asking someone to say, you need to be sending this much home. And nowadays, it is even worse, because as a firstborn, you are expected to take care of your second, third, fourth, and seventh.
You're a deputy parent. I am a firstborn. I mean, deputy parents, here we are.
It's being a firstborn an obligation that you must.
It feels like it in Africa.
That's the word. It feels like it. It feels like it. But is it?
I want you to finish the question.
Because there are firstborns who do not even know the direction of their life. And so you find that the thirdborn automatically becomes the firstborn, or the secondborn, or even the lastborn. So is it something that we have put on ourselves that the society expects us to, or is it that the society actually expects us to? Because sometimes I feel we put a lot of pressure on firstborns, or rather, sometimes also firstborns put a lot of pressure on themselves because they want to perform, because they want to look like they're the firstborns. And honestly, if you're unable to, you're unable to. Let someone else help. Yeah.
I want to support Ruth when she was saying about grandparents remaining in Nairobi. But also even those ones who are back there. I usually say, meet me halfway. Meet me halfway, because don't ask for, okay, fine, let's say you need 5,000. Tell me, hey, Nonsizi, I have 2,500. Could you get me the 2,500? Don't just assume that now I'm going to get the whole amount. Meet me somewhere, because we're just having this conversation. Nairobi ni shamba la mawe bana.
You know what? But I want to, separate these two. As you talk about the meeting halfway, I think there's the obligation to parents, and then there's the obligation to, like, your siblings.
Yeah.
So here are your parents. They're sitting over here. I don't know whether in Nairobi, that's a different factor, but somebody is 70, 75. They probably spent all their life sending all of you to school.
Yeah.
They never built wealth at all, because they then valued education. So they've gotten to the place where they really don't have. And they're sitting here in their 70s.
Yeah.
Is that supposed to be looked at as a tax, or is that supposed to be looked at as a love responsibility? Because sometimes you can actually tell they give their all, you know, and they want to, at a certain age, there are these medical bills, that these sicknesses that just begin to come in because of age. They need to go to the hospital. They never had that. Is that supposed to be classified, for example, with your 30-something, 20-something-year-old sibling who is sitting in some town and is always like, Nonsizi, send me something.
Okay. Now, those are your parents, and you know, you should take care of them. I mean, it comes automatically that...
Should. Okay.
Should is the keyword.
Okay, continue.
Okay, fine.
Continue.
So, I mean, it feels bad even seeing your parents sick and you cannot be able to help them. But here is the question. Am I in a position to? Correct.
All right.
Am I in a position to be able to assist?
Right.
You get? And again, if you are 7 of us, I'm sure kuna wenye wamesomeshwa hapo, are we many of us? What do we do collectively so that it fails to be one person's responsibility?
I was going to raise the issue as you say that there's a saying that one mother will raise 7 children. Then 7 children cannot take care of one mother.
You get what I'm saying? So I'm not alone. You get it? And you see, we don't have to look at it even money-wise. Is there someone who can even be able to go there physically and stay with them?
Right.
It doesn't have to be money-wise. You get? Even making sure that when you're there, you don't also have to spend the money, again, to look for someone to take care of that. Let's look at it even in terms of human resource. Is there someone who can sacrifice, like the young one who can maybe asome huko? Because all of us, let me tell you, when you mnakuja Nairobi, sijui mnakuja nini. Anything stick in the village at one point, come to visit.
When
this touch, it's a very
touchy and sensitive topic. I don't want people to live saying, hey, we are But the thing is this, it all boils down to the kind of relationship you had with your parents growing up. For example, if you've grown up in a home where you're close to your parents, you've built a certain type of relationship. Number one, they will then begin to understand, akiwa nayo, even if it is 10 shillings, atanipatia hata kama ni 5 bob. So they will not then have the pressure of, you've already told them you only have 3,000, but they're like, tafuta tu angalau ifike 10. Tafuta tu, because
and
that is what
bring in the issue of boundaries.
And so, even before you get they'll begin then to understand that this is the kind of person my child is. Akiwa nayo, atanipatia. Na kama hana, atatafuta if it is possible. Let me not stress it on them. That is one. Two, have we, I look at it as an appreciation and not more of a responsibility or it should or must. And this is why sometimes I argue that, not sometimes, all the time, I argue with people when people talk about inheritance, like it is a must.
It's not.
Your parents have worked for their money. They are money.
You for yours.
If they want to give you,
yes.
If they don't want,
and nobody owes you nothing.
And so flipping it around, you don't owe your siblings nothing. If you decide you're helping them, if my sibling helps me, it is because they are generous enough to help me. It is not because they are obligated. If I am helping and when I am helping my parents, it is not because it is a responsibility to take care of them. It is not because it is a must. It is because I appreciate my parents.
Allow me to just respond.
And also just comparing again the times, you see initially, whenever there would be old age and all these things, the community, as you had said, I would see Patricia's mom and I will go and help her, you know, but now there is the issue of Patricia anafanya kazi ngambo na hata akikuja tuleteangi vitu. Watana na mama yake hapo. So there are a lot of things that are now making us have all this unnecessary pressure. And we need to have conversations with ourselves first.
But you know, even as you talk about that, there are races like the Indians that have been very communal and it has helped them build wealth.
Generational wealth.
So it wouldn't be it wouldn't be totally bad. You know, it's just how this whole thing is used. Because, for example, you may have a sibling who is very enterprising, but they don't have resources. So then you support them a bit, then you realize later on they have grown to the point where they can actually become a support system to you as well. I'm a believer that money finds value when it finds purpose. We don't just make it for us. Because eventually you leave it here and you won't even control who will spend that money. So there are people who have also used the power of community, the Somalis and the Indians, to build the wealth. Why is that not working for us? Is it because of how we are socialized, that we are a bit more entitled?
Entitlement, yes.
No.
Some, let me tell you, Ruth, before.
And I'm saying
hold
no
on,
to
let
him.
me, hold on,
Just
before
wait.
we also
Let me
to
just
what?
respond to what you had talked about
like I did a pen and
earlier.
paper.
Earlier, before now we go to what you have said right now. You had asked if supporting our parents, is it black tax or is it not? So my response is sometimes it would feel like it's black tax. Other times it's just like a token of appreciation. It's just saying thank you from a point of love. So I acknowledge those parents who honestly worked extremely hard and even built wealth. And so they made it easier for their children. And I also acknowledge those ones who honestly, the entire money they had, they just invested it in the education of their children. And so honestly speaking, right now, they don't have. Then the other thing is that, to be quite honest, and with all due respect, we often do not want to look at our parents like either they have personality disorder, some of them, or some of them are too commanding, or some of them are actually bad with money. Those are conversations we never want to. We never want to sit down and have. So I think we need to differentiate, because there is a parent that it's end month, you will not see they will not call you. You won't see their call, but you know that I would desire or I want to give to them. Then there are the others, characters, with all due respect. Like every family has characters, whether it's siblings or one sibling or two. And we also have parents who, they have character issue. For example, you send money, they go drink. Then the next day they ask you again for money, and then they start guilt tripping you. I gave birth to you, and I took you to school. So I think we need to differentiate. There are times it actually feels like black tax. Then there are times it's just from a point of appreciation. And you know your parent, you know your siblings, you know your people. So you know what you would call it.
All right. And when you're talking about that, there are those ones who as well they may actually be in the village. Then they will be saying stuff like, there was a contribution being made over here, so-and-so has contributed this level. So it's a suggestion that our family cannot be below that. We have to measure up. So you actually have to fill up for the ego
of their parent. And when Ruth was talking about mental issue, I remember also when because atutoshani, even if all of us are siblings right now, CJ could be more blessed than me, or and parents bring this thing which has been brought about by this black tax thing is, hey, Nonsizi ni ananipeanga pesa mingi. The rest of you, kwani, what did you go to do in Nairobi? You get, and we have seen scenarios where. And this is a joke that I make, but it's such a bad joke, and because I read it somewhere too. Hata kama una pesa ukienda ushago unizangu unakunywa soda gani, unapangwa tu crest ama Sprite na unamufungue na meno, because we see how we are idolizing money, and sometimes our parents have led us there, because you see them, they don't know how to balance the children. It's the one who brings me more money is the one that calls the shots. And can we all be in
that is very true. That is very true in some homes. Yes. It's very true in some homes. But also, back to what Patricia was saying, there are those who still, and they have rentals. But they still expect you to send 6 figures at the end of every month. Or somehow at the end of every month, they don't have money. And true to it, your neighbors will be calling you saying, wewe, unajua mama yako anakulwa na jiga za kukaribu kuisha. And then the problem with this is that we have been, what's the word?
Socialized?
Not socialized, but it's a taboo to ask your parent, where? Pesa yako unafanyanga nayo nini?
Those hard conversations.
We don't like having them, but we must have those conversations, because then what begins to happen when your parent now passes on, or when it is at point of no return, then it is lakini unajua tungeuliza mom. How many times have we had families where the parent passes on and you find money under the mattress? How many times have we had stories where the parent dies and they have debts? That you guys didn't even know of, and all of a sudden you become an enemy of people because you have money but your parent has debts, and those debts are then transferred to you. So these are hard conversations that we must have with our parents. There's something you had mentioned. I'm just trying to, I don't know if you could repeat it, because I'm trying to pick up on that. I had a response.
The
I had wanted to
socialization
give.
of Muslims, Hindus.
Oh yes, yes, yes. So I wanted to refuse 150% with it, and this is because
That's somebody who used to do school debates.
Why?
you see, and we were having this conversation with someone the other day, and it just opened my mind. We are so used to telling negative stories about our culture. We are so used to emulating others. Those guys don't tell you your problems. You will not know the problems. Their problems. You will not know the problem I am facing in my home because I will not tell you. You are seeing what you want to see. So even those Asians and Somalis and the Jews and etc. that we are admiring, it is at what cost? Remember, from way back, even before, even post-independence, we were communal. The way you're saying, it would be, this is the clan, not the family. This is the whole clan. If I am making the ugali, she is making the traditional vegetables. Her family is going hunting. Yours is doing what? And we pull together. That is how we've always been. So it is not that Africans are not communal. That perception, let us remove. Secondly, we also need to realize something. While we might encourage and really look at all these other cultures, I want you to to realize this. Even in those families, kuna mwenye amekaa raha mstarehe because anajua at the end of the day whether I wake up or not, whether I do nothing, I am still catered for. I have a roof under my head, I have A, B, C, and D. And even in those families, there is that one person that must work extra hard to bring in money for all of you. There is the pressure of you cannot do A, B, C, and D because you will embarrass the family. So they're projecting these communal things. At what cost?
But then the flip side then would be, because what I asked is, it has worked for other people. So is it necessarily and generally bad? And you've said, well, even with those families, they've got still all these issues, which then means that it is possible to actually work on the communal aspect of the African culture and still build wealth. Because the focus here has been on the wealth aspect. The social aspect, there may be a lot of issues, but the wealth aspect, they have been able to build that.
Yeah. So here's my thinking. One is we need heavy financial management, from personal finance, because it doesn't mean that if I help my people, we will create wealth. We could all come together communally and look for this money, but if you don't know how to invest, if you don't know how to save, you don't know how to sacrifice, because those people you're mentioning, the Wahindis, hey, they live small. They will have that Toyota from 1965, God knows when. That is all they will drive all of, because they know how. If we don't have financial management, no matter what you're going to do, we're going to remain the same. Number two, communication. I remember we've had this conversation with you, CJ. It's not easy to have this communication. And not even with our parents. Even like, for example, even ourselves and also our older siblings. Because you find me, I'm the last born, and I'm woke and I know about these things. And I want to talk to my firstborn, who is probably like, akona watoto maybe hata rika yangu, and we cannot have. So we need to be lenient to that and have those communication and say, you know what, where are we going?
I think I like what you have said about financial management, because sometimes the people who suffer a lot from black tax, it's not that they are wealthy. They're not the Melinda and the, they're not wealthy, but they have just learned the art of financial management. And sometimes they're not even sure of what they're doing, but they're just hoping they're in the right track. I think one of our problems is that we raise success indicators very early. So I find work tomorrow, and then the next month I buy a car. Then immediately after that, I call my uncle in the village and I tell them I want a piece of land. Yes. Then that news will not stop with my uncle. It will go to other people. So we raise those indicators very fast, and then we are not realistic with ourselves. So you also want to give from that point of, I want to be seen like the head of the family, or the good one, or the nice one, yet you're not true to yourself. So you end up really feeling bad, or even getting depressed at the end of the day.
I usually say, you cannot help others if you have not helped yourself.
And unfortunately,
and also don't begin what you can't sustain.
You can't sustain. Unfortunately, the aspect of financial management, as you said, covers everyone. It covers us as the community, us trying to bring in the communal work. It covers me as an individual who is trying to then show that I can help all of you. Or sometimes it's not that I want to show. Sometimes it is that I can't say no. It could be something as simple as that. But it also covers those ones that feel entitled, as you had said. That,
but let me ask, don't you think like our parents are beyond this conversation of what are they going to find? Oh yeah, the money you're giving them, my financial manage that.
And what I mean by entitlement is you could be having a sibling who just decides, and this is a case that is in so many families. There's this one person who doesn't do thing because they know at the end of the day Nonsizi atanitumia. Nonsizi ni mdosi. Imagine ni mdosi na uwa nisaidi. Is it your money?
But it's up to you also to change that narrative.
At the same time, they feel that because maybe I am, I don't know how this will come out. But maybe there are those who feel because maybe I am an orphan. Or because my parent, my late father is the one that helped you get your wealth. Or my father who is now struggling is the one that helped you do this and this. You have to help me. So there is that aspect of it also.
So generally, what is coming out is that we've got to understand that there are several expectations that are very unspoken.
Yes.
And those conversations,
they need to be held.
Yes, absolutely.
People have to do that because sometimes you just go around your family members, something you look like you're doing okay. You probably had to get that Toyota because work requires for you to have that. And then people are feeling like you're doing well.
And you see, that's another thing. Do you know we're in Nairobi? And I mean, as much as we're not doing okay, Aki usi expect nivae matambara. You know what I'm saying? What I mean when I'm not doing okay, I'm not okay. I can't help you, but also I need to, So when, God forbid.
You know what I call it? Yeah. When you have a shop, you have to have things on display.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not going to put up a sign there, say, I'm in debt, I've not paid rent and all of that. This is how we attract our customers so that we can pay our rent.
How many times have we gone for funerals back in Shags and you find, you know that, as in, hey, mama ke anaishingi kwa hiyo nyumba, na venye Nonsizi huko achangi tupumue. As in those things, and at one point they have even gotten into me, myself. Because even in the morning I was having a conversation with myself and I look at the things that I want to do for my mom and I look at my age and I look at my journey. Then I ask myself, surely Nonsizi, what could you have done for you to build that house? You get what I'm saying? Yeah. So when you say those conversations, you need to have them. Yeah. It is very individual.
Be true to yourself.
And knowing your journey. And because again, if you've ever been brought up in poverty, please, you need to know how to finance manage. Because let me tell you, it's going to be a cycle.
The problem though with that is, if I've never touched 300,000 in my life.
Where upatiwe?
Kuna shetani tu kuna kuwasha.
Inaitwa culture shock ya pesa.
That is the thing. You've seen a microwave, kwenu hamuna stima lakini unataka kwenda nayo nyumbani. There is that culture shock that comes with it. So
that's what Patricia talked about. This indicator that you just feel like you need to get certain things to make.
And also as much as
you should see people from my tribe in December.
You and I
going to the village. That's it.
Now, just to move it forward, because our time is also just going, how can we then encourage ourselves to actually build wealth? Because I believe, and everything we're talking about, I'm so familiar with, and sometimes I say, look, one person has to come out of a generation to actually build the wealth. And sometimes that will mean that you will not give people what they want. It will mean you will have to say no at a certain point. Because if you keep on just throwing your money all over on welfare, then you'll never have capital. You'll never invest in anything. There are people who have died poor because they helped entire communities. How do we push ourselves to the place where the other people also need to understand? Like, look, if we keep doing what we're doing right now, this cycle will continue. And I've got to build something so that the generations coming in the future will have something. How do we go forward like that?
So one, like I had said, let's learn about finances. Let me tell you, and that's why we are here. Money conversations were not held even when we were growing up. Even us who are even younger than generation, leave alone CJ. Even us, it's like a taboo. They're conversations you never hold. Let's have them. Let's start even with having them with our children, because knowing financial management is one. Applying it is another. Number two, boundaries. We need to learn how to make boundaries, and comes with communication. Hey, mom, I can only afford 1,000, but I can afford this after saving, after me being okay. kunitumia nitembee kazini, I mean I have fare, and this is what I have spared for you, and this is what I can get for now, and it's not going to be like this, because you see, wealth is not built in a day. You get? So we need to have knowing the finances, applying, and then having communication and boundaries, because in Africa, boundaries are rare. They are rare. Oh,
I think also give support to empower. Support to empower. If you're able to probably start for someone a business, because you know a serious person when they approach you, even a family member who is serious, and it goes back to what you were saying. I have 5,000. Can you talk? Can you help me top up another 5,000 so that I begin this? So support to empower, so that in the long run, that person kind of gets off your path. So when you do that, I think yes.
Show them how to fish.
Yes, show them how to fish. Yes, and then. Sometimes also I say, I know a lie is a lie, but sometimes a white lie is very important, that you do not have to speak your 100% truth. Like they don't need to know that you earn $1 million. Who asked you? You see, because now when you go out and you say that,
those people who need to say.
They will, yeah. So people will know. Okay, so you earn $1 million. So why are you not helping us with this and that and that? Sometimes also I feel that give, withdraw. Give, withdraw, so that you know eventually when you try to withdraw 100% how it will look like.
Patricia,
and also be authentic.
All right.
And
the thing you're talking about on the giving to empower.
Yeah.
And you could know the kind of people that, you would know somebody in the family who can do business. There are these people who will be sitting there and they say, I've got great ideas. I don't have the capital. And I'm always thinking that you need to actually empower somebody who has started. Not somebody who is telling you I want to start, because it is very difficult. You know the thing you're talking about, Ruth, of the 300, and then somebody begins to have all these things, all this money. Money has a way that it just changes your behavior. There's how you think before you have it. Then there's how you think when you have it. Because there are a lot of people, again, who have been given like capital. Then later on, when you follow up, they're like, okay, something came up and I put this money somewhere. I thought I was going to use it or something. So I think it's also in that conversation, it is better to give to somebody who is already showing you that they're doing something, right?
And I feel like another aspect to it, as opposed to just giving the money, is opportunities. I mean, there's this joke that goes around about that uncle who will tell you to give you their CV. And your great-grandchild will be the president of Kenya when the uncle still has a CV in their folders. There is also something called mentorship abuse, which is something that is beginning to be a topic. Okay. Whereby, because I am your uncle or your auntie or your mother or whoever, you will work for me, with or without pay. I will drain you. Sometimes I will end up using my money because I am expecting you to give me certain opportunities. And mostly it's those long distance relatives who have wame or moka. They've made it. And so what then will begin to happen, Patricia, who is my auntie's cousin's auntie's friend, will give me an opportunity as an intern. And then because I want to show Patricia that I can do it, I will even sometimes chip in from my pocket. Money that I don't have, but they remember I am still an intern. And then what happens is it's 7 years, 12 years, 16 years. I'm still in that position, right? You have opportunities that are coming up in your company to even expose me, introduce me to people, help me build my networks, but you don't think. So that is also another way to empower someone. Pass these opportunities. You have that cousin or that sister who has got, some experience or some degree or whatever it is. Send to them the opportunity, or not because you are trying to. Don't even look at it as atanishinda kwa maisha or whatever. But the truth is this: if everyone around you is making money, no one will
ask you for money.
And also, Ruth, that person who is being given that opportunity, don't misuse it.
No,
don't go there.
That's why
it is very simple.
But again, it boils down to character problem.
This is the thing. That up because there are people that you will bring in, and they'll be thinking, "But Ruth is my sister."
And that is, I agree with you, because I have had.
So they come
I have had situations whereby you will bring in someone, they will not show up for the interview, number one. If they show up for the interview, it is late, it is in jeans, it is in, things like that. And when they eventually begin to work, they're not performing. Why? Nonsizi ni mtu wangu. No, it is very, very simple. Give someone a chance. What a mess up. Ukwe, you did your best. You have tried. And you who has been given a chance, just know, in this country alone, we are very many. So no one is going to dwell around you alone. There are so many other people out there that could really use this opportunity, because then what that begins to happen is Nonsizi, who is a HR, every time I bring someone atasema wewe watu wako si watu wazuri. And so and unfortunately in families it is an unspoken rule that if Patricia messes up, we are not supposed to speak about it. Oh yeah, talk about it. So that when you now bring CJ on board the next time, they don't make a mistake. When you refuse to bring Nonsizi, they will say, amekatazwa kuletwa because of tabia za Patricia na nani na nani. Let's have those conversations. Let us speak, and these conversations will only start with ourselves. I cannot come to talk to you if I've not had that conversation with myself. Because you will either convince me otherwise, you will either annoy me because now I will not be able to see to help you see where I am coming from.
As you talk about that, sorry, Patricia, I don't know why I keep on intercepting. There are those ones, again, that sometimes are given opportunities. Then when they mess up and people sit down with them and say, look, I gave you an opportunity, you messed up. And you know their attitude? I didn't even tell you to look for a job.
I call them characters.
To get me that. I didn't tell you to do this.
Characters.
Every family has those characters.
Every family has a character.
You see, but it is true. If they didn't ask you, it is true.
So does that
They
mean
did not ask you.
we should not help those people who have not pushed?
This is my mantra.
Yeah.
And it is working so far. So you're welcome to use it. If I realize I am having a financial baggage in my family and there's an opportunity that has just somehow come up, even I will come to the family and ask, simunipatie mtu mmoja mwenye anafanya A, B, C, and D. What have I done? I've taken that initiative. You guys will say, we are giving you Patricia, for example. Now Patricia will come and Patricia will mess up. Number one, realize maybe this is her first job. Right. There are those who do it intentionally out of ignorance, but there are those who genuinely don't know. And it could be a huge mess up, you know. But then, can we also not victimize her for the rest of her life because of that mistake? Okay? But let's have that conversation. Now, if I come up and she tells me, I did not ask you, you say, good. That has made your work easier, because the next time someone approaches you for money, you will tell them, I gave you Paul an opportunity to have constant money, you refused. So, The next time someone comes to you and tells you that they're giving you an opportunity, look, you tried. There's only so much you can do. Even if you wanted, you cannot go and get the sun from where it is to bring it in here. So there's only so much you can do.
When you were offset, when you were actually talking, and you said that in Kenya or in Africa, someone is an illness away from being broke. And I also said that you also are court case away from poverty. So it's those two things. So I think also my challenge is, when you're given an opportunity, do something good with it. Don't spoil it. Because we are not going to babysit you for the rest of your life. One day you'll wake up and be 60. You haven't done anything with your life. So I think even those people, it's up to them to take initiative. We can't keep helping and helping. I will get tired. And even I will go. So let them also try and take initiative.
And even before the person gets to where they are 60, what normally happens is, a lot of times when we are all starting at the same platform, and then we grow, and then things happen and things happen and things happen. And you're there, and there's this notion of the other guys are putting their lives together. You feel you're still too young, or you feel entitled, or whatever reason it is. Those guys are going to have families or whatever going on. And no one is going to care whether you sleep hungry or not, because they have their own baggage.
Also,
so those are realities we need to
getting generation is one thing. Maintaining it is another.
Yes.
And I'm going to go back again to the Indians and everything. Let us, like the mentorship thing, if you really, really want to show someone, don't abuse, but bring them along to work. Show them how you wake up at 5 a.m. If you need to be at the gym or whatever to beat traffic so that you can go to this company that I send you money from. Show them. Let us show our children how hard it is even to make 1,000 in this Nairobi.
Yes.
Because again, we can be here saying, I'm here as Nonsizi, I will not give all of you money, I'm making it generational. Then the minute I close my eyes like this, 6 feet under, ata pesa ata itanimaliza 1 year.
But then that issue of saying let us, and I know this is a discussion for another day, when you're saying that let us show our children how hard it is, I mean, my generation says I want to give my children what I did not. What I did not.
but again,
I know that's for another day.
That's someone of Dubai who said, you will have money, your children will not, their children will have. It's just like, and we need to manage it. How do we maintain that? Because again, CJ, you remember saying discipline, character, all those things. Money you can come, hata unaweza patana nayo.
That's
maintaining that character. And you've mentioned about those people with characters. Si ati wapatangi pesa, where?
Character.
All right. Well, we could talk about this like the whole day and the whole night because each and every one of us somehow has experienced this element of the black tax. Either you are the taxman or you are the one that is being taxed. But, you know, it's always good to help the people that you can. But as the jury has said, you know, do what you can and let it be willingly. But if you are the one who's receiving support as well, show appreciation and responsibility. As much as we will say, look, like Ruth said, okay, if you said, I didn't ask for this opportunity, you free the next person, you're also going to mess up for another person who really would want to get help. So there's always going to be the element of responsibility, even if you didn't ask for the help. Just appreciate the fact that somebody went out of their way for something that they did not need to do. Probably another time when we talk about the black tax, we need to talk about how to let your siblings just go on with their families. Because sometimes somebody marries and then now the whole family says it's the woman that you married that is now making you not support us. Probably.
God.
I'm not starting any other conversation. I'm not starting that conversation.
It's the woman you brought us.
But well, thank you so much for joining us. Keep it right here. Subscribe to the YouTube channel CJ Atemo. Till the next time.